from Eretz HaKodesh, from one of the Rosh Hashiva of Kfar Chabad, Walberg, was still my Maggid Shir in Olei Torah 30 years ago. And one word I remember Rabbi Walberg saying was, "As Medaf Leben, you're not alive because the car didn't hit you. You're alive because you're alive. You have to really do it for your full potential." So we can say the same thing in Chinuch. You're not a mechanech because you didn't find anything else. You're a mechanech the full. When we're moving on Mila. So without any further ado, Rav Walberg Shlita, please. Shukoya.
Yeah. First of all, I'm very honored to be able to sit here with you tonight. Not really sure I understand that you've been learning in Yonim of Chinuch already for like many hours through the summer, going through and being mechanech and mele. It's really very hard for me to know what I could really be moisev and mechadish in you. The Maisa is I was listening just a little bit. Someone was speaking about preparing and how it's important to prepare. There's a word, there's a famous word of Reb Chaim, based on a word from Reb Chaim that the Rebbe brings, that the second Reb Chaim in Benegeh Hilchos Tefillah, a steer in Rambam. And in one place the Rambam writes that Kavan is liikuva. Kavan is liikuva in Tefillah. Pashas Haloshon Rambam, something muding is with Reb Chaim, but the Pashas Haloshon Rambam is that the union of Kavanah is a likuva in all of davening. All of Shemona Esrei has to be with Kavanah. That's what the Rambam writes, and I think Perek Dalet. And then later on, when the Rambam speaks in Perek Yud, over there the Rambam says that Kavanah is only likuva in the bracha Rishena. Mashenkin and the other brachas, Kavanah is not likuva. So l'chur it's a stira. Here it says Rambam likuva, not likuva. So then Reb Chaim says the word is azay. That Ba'am is there's two inyanim in Kavanah. There's one inyan in Kavanah to think Pirush HaMilos, to understand exactly what you're saying. You're saying the words, you understand exactly what you're saying. You're saying Atachein Lorem Das, Mulamed Lorem Bina, you understand what you're saying. That's one gather of Kavanah. Then there's another gather of Kavanah, which the gather of Kavanah is that the pshat is that you realize that you're Medaber L'fnei HaMelech, you're talking to the Eibishter. There's a person that's speaking, and he doesn't realize he's speaking to the Eibishter, so that person is not pshat, he's missing kavanah. That's the kavanah that the Rambam was talking about in Perek Dalet. That's pshat, he's missing in the whole metzias of davening. It's not pshat, he's missing in the kavanah. He's missing in the whole metzias of davening. And those davening means he's standing for the Eibishter, he's talking to the Eibishter. Person is talking, he doesn't realize he's talking to the Eibishter, some pshat, he's missing in kavanah. He's not talking to the Eibishter. Then he's talking to the Eibishter. Does he understand what he's saying? Doesn't he understand what he's saying? Does he mean what he's saying? Doesn't he mean what he's saying? That's all common. That's already madrigas. Masha'inken, before you start madrigas, there's a metzias that nothing happened. Nothing started. It's not pshat. It's felt and psaprat. Nothing started. You have to understand there's certain things that sometimes you say. You're missing a prat. You have to be mesiv a prat. You have to mesiv noch a prat and all kinds of pratim. And then there's a metzias where before you talk about pratim, the zachalein. The mashal, you're saying I'm a lamet. I'm saying the way it should be. I'm not saying the way the way it should be. The way it should be is that a malamed to be a proper malamed. L'chura, he has to first be, I don't know, we use the word, he has to first be a ben Torah. He has to be a Torah yid. He has to be a yid that's involved in Torah. And if he's ba'atzim not involved in Torah, he has to get himself involved in Torah. No, it's not the pshat. I mean, Rashi is saying, I'm sorry for making a order. That Kilu, I have a whole bunch of things to do. I have a lot of things to do. And I have to teach. Yeah, Avada. The mice is we live lives, I'm Molgat site, and I'm a Lamed, the Prima God was a Malamed. The Prima God was a Malamed, and the Maram was a Malamed, and Marsho was a Malamed. It's not pshat as all they learned was the Malamdis. Prima God was the Prima God, but he was a Malamed. Pshat is a person. There's an expression. I don't know if it's the mocker from Yiddish or Mekadas, but it's a true expression. I'm sure on this expression also the Rambam would say Kabbalas Emes Misha Omrei, that it says what you are speaks so loud that whatever you say is fuzzed out, is not heard because of the. In other words, when someone's speaking very loud, so the one that's speaking very low, you can't hear him. What you are speaks so loud, no matter what you're going to say, it's not going to be heard because what you are is going to outweigh what you say. A person, in order to be a Bambas, that's the way, we have to talk to ourselves. We have to talk to ourselves. We talk about techniques and Kama techniques, and they're very important, extremely important. A lot of techniques are very important, and you have to learn how to speak to people. But there's a mitzvah of being a person that has a shaykhus to Torah. We have to be mechanech ourselves. We have to mechanech ourselves, and we have to talk to ourselves. That what's expected of us is to be Yidden that are Torah Yidden. If we'll be Yidden that are Torah Yidden that are shaykhus to Torah, I have no better way of saying it. I would like to say it. It shouldn't sound I don't know what, but that's the mitzvah. That we're Yid that learning Torah is not like a yoch and he has to prepare a shir. He's a Yid that comes home and he's involved in the Gemara that he's learning, and he's like involved in the Gemara he's learning, and he can live with the Gemara he's learning, and he can appreciate a kasha and he can appreciate a teretz. You have to develop it. You have to develop it. Not sure exactly how it's developed, but the simple way it's developed is to learn. There's partial to learn. So I want to say this a very simple word. There is a concept where we're looking to figure out all kinds of different methodology, which is good, which is very, very important. No one's in any way being mamayed the importance of that inyan. But on the other hand, I think we have to start thinking about the zach itself. I want to say about Gemara. I'm not sure if this Gemara will help us, not help us. I'll be honest with you. When I learned this Gemara, not now, but I learned this Gemara, so I thought this is a good drosha. So I'm telling you, I'm being moided to you ala emes right now. That it's not like right now I'm saying it. I thought about it this afternoon or this second. There's a Gemara in Seita. Everybody learned the Gemara in Seita. The Gemara speaks over there about a din that a person that was not a kerem, he's chayzer from the Mulcham, Mercham Mulcham. So the Gemara says over there that who adin, if a mavrich, not echad a mavrich, echad a markiv, the Gemara has a stira that one place says yeah, one place not. So the Gemara chure v'anant nan echad a neter v'echad a markiv v'echad a markiv, a mavrich v'echad a markiv, is Omer Abzeir Omer Abchizda likasha. Kam bar kovas isa, kam bar kovas heter. So when you were markiv heter, so then that's b'sei. Heter means it's not min b'shein min, it's a min b'minei. If it's a min b'minei, so then when you're markiv, so you could be choizer mi ercha mulchama for the harkov. Reg the Gemara, hi harkovas heter hechidov. What does it mean you were markiv harkovas heter? What happened over here? You have an apple tree, you have another apple tree, and you were markiv an apple tree into an apple tree. Hi harkovas heter hechidov. Ile meyalda b'yalda. If you took a young apple tree, this is a young one, and you put it into another young one, so Mela, typically, what are you telling me that I have to be your choizer because of the tzweig that I was markiv? Typically, the boy had the mishum yalda rishena. The yalda rishena have to be choizer. The original yalda have to be choizer. What have to be choizer? Mitzad darkava. Ela yalda b'skein. Elamai, what are you telling me that there was an original tree that was a skeina? It was an original tree that was a skeina. And lepel mamish, this skena, the yalda wasn't the skena. V'amar abavo yalda shesipcha b'skena, bottle yalda b'skena. The yalda becomes bottle to the skena. Ve'imba dinarla. There's no dinarla. I'm sorry, I'm talking about dinarla. So Aldera Zeb Beneged, this din, the Beneged, the din of Chezmei Mulchama. There's no din Ola. It's not a new tree. It's not considered a new tree. It's not considered a new tree. So if it's not considered a new tree, if it's a Yalda B'Yalda, so what do I need the Chiddush of the new Yalda? And if it's a Yalda B'Skena, so it's not a new tree. So what's the tzir where you're being chayzer because of the Yalda? So the Gemara, Omer Rabbi Yirmiyah Le'elam Yalda B'Yalda. Person was markiv a Yalda B'Yalda. It was B'minei and it was a Yalda B'Yalda. If it was a Yalda B'Yalda, so why are you going back because of the Harkava? It's clear what I'm saying here. It's clear. Maybe I'm not speaking clear. Why are you going back because of the Harkava? I'm speaking to Machanchim, so maybe I'm giving a bad example. Okay, I'm not explaining it clearly, but I think they learn stuff. What if it's a Yalda B'Yalda? So why do I have to go back because of the new Yalda? I'll go back for the old Yalda. So the Gemara again the nota lahach kamaisa l'syogu l'keitz. There's the first one I was in l'teya l'syogu l'keitz, which means I wasn't l'teya for Paris. I was l'teya for it to become a gvul. And Memela that doesn't have a din of a tree, and since it doesn't have a din of a tree, it's a Memela she not chayzer for such a tree. Mashaink and doesn't really have a din of a tree legabi hilchus of a tree. However, now this one that I put into the one that was there before, so now that's I'm putting in for the Paris, and therefore it has a din of a tree. Yeah, klar. So there's a mitzvah of a Yalda B'Yalda, so l'chura the original Yalda. So we're saying Yalda B'Skena becomes batal to the Skena, and now we're saying no, but there's a Yalda B'Yalda. And the original Yalda was not a l'siyog. That's what the Gemara answers. Right? The Gemara says that man on the tail l'siyog, u'lekeres potim and orla doesn't have a din of a tree. Zog the Gemara u'maishna Yalda b'skena the botla, whereas the Yalda b'skena becomes bottle to the skena. This is the Gemara I want to learn. The din is nachamo. A Yalda b'skena becomes bottle to the skena. But a Yalda B'Yalda, if the original Yalda was a Yalda which is not doesn't have a din of a tree, it's the pot of menorla, because it was not a l'siyog. So the chura now that you're planting a Yalda B'Yalda, so just like the Yalda B'Skena becomes bottled to the Skena, so why shouldn't the Yalda become bottled to the Yalda which was there already? And that Yalda that was there already was a Yalda which didn't have a din of a tree because it was not a l'siyog. And Mamela, this Yalda, which was not a B'Yalda, should also become bottled to the original existing Yalda, and it should also be bottled. That's the Gemara's kasha. That's the Gemara's kasha. Ma'ishna Yalda, Ma'ishna Nachamo, Ma'ishna Yalda b'skena the bottle. The Yalda the skena becomes bottle. Ma'ishna Yalda B'Yalda the lay bottle. Why is the Yalda B'Yalda not bottle? So that the Gemara answers Hasam. Im mimlechalo la bas medriu. Hochi im mimlechalo bas medri. Yalda b'skena, the skena is a skena. It's not going back anywhere. It's there. So mele, when the Yalda goes into the skena, it becomes bottled to the skena. Masha'inkin, when the Yalda goes into a Yalda, and that Yalda, be'emes, is not really 100% going to be potter, because the person could always decide that it's going to start growing, that he's going to start using the fruit. So the mele, the Yalda that goes into that Yalda doesn't become bottled to a Yalda, which that Yalda could go back and become Uis Yalda, become Uis Potter. And it's not the word Yalda, the word is, it can become Uis Potter ben Arla. Someone tell me if I'm being clear over here, yeah? Because I see like a lot of blank faces over here, I think. I just like a lot of faces. I'm not like nobody's saying no one's agreeing or disagreeing. I suppose I don't know. Maybe there's no interaction there. Could be a hak China. To me, this pshat is azoi. We have a Yalda that's going into a skena, and we want the Yalda somehow or another not to be bottled to the skena, but the Yalda somehow or another the skena the skena should be start. The Yalda should be nurturing from the skena and should be a very strong connection. A very strong connection. There should be a very strong connection. When could there be a very strong connection if the skena is such a skena which can never become a Yalda? This Kana can never become a Yalda. Mashengan, if you have a Yalda, the Bemis is a Yalda. And the only thing is that you decided that it's going to be Lisyag or whatever, together. So Be'etzim, it's a Yalda. Elamai, he decided right now that it's going to be Lisyag or together. So now what do you want? That this Yalda, which is going into this Yalda, which Be'etzim is a Yalda. Elamai, you want it to become bottle because it was you annotate in something which is potter. It's not Be'etzim potter. It's only potter because lapel you have that mind to be potter. Masha'inkin, if that mind could be changed, so then it's not going to be potter. So if it's not going to be potter, it's not going to cause that the yalda that you grew into it will also be potter. I'm saying the Gemara. I opened the Gemara now, but I don't have.
Yeah.
Very good, very good.
It's clear what we're saying.
Yeah.
Am I saying you or is someone else saying you? I don't know. I look at myself talk. Anyway, I'll call upon him. Nekudas Hadvarim is that if we would be b'nei, I really personally feel. I personally feel I'm a little bit. I can't say that I have a lot of experience, but I'm not going to come up and say I have experience and I know what's going on. But I've been around. And I have a lot of critique. And I think our first issue is Amir Allein Dafen Zain B'nei Teira. Mir Dafen Zain B'nei Teira. Emes B'nei Teira.
Zakain. We have to be Zakain.
Was?
Mir Dafen Zain Zakain.
Mir Dafen Zain Zakain. Zakain, nicht die Yalda, was ist not together. Wir dürfen sein, die Iden, wo sind Iden von Lernen. Und wenn wir sind nicht kein Iden von Lernen, darf man werden, ich weiß es, wenn ein Boch in Yeshiva in Manchester. Well, sehr feine, sehr available, sehr feine Boch. Und ich weiß doch, you always ask verbring, always you ask me verbring. The problem is, by me, you tell say, I want to verbring with you. But if you can't bring on Mashke, the problem is on Mashke is can ich nicht verbringen. Und mit Mashke wäre ich krank. In my mail it's a problem. It's a problem. Das habe ich mal gewöhnt. Hat der Bacher gesagt, versteht das Problem. Aber der Eitz ist, wer ich sie Schied. That's what he tells me. Wer ich sie Schied, muss keine verbringen on Mashke. Und gerecht, der Bacher gerecht, ich bin gerecht. Wer ich the sheet, he says, if the job month is wer ich the sheet, wer ich the sheet. If the job month, wer ich the sheet. Come on, wer ich the sheet, I'm saying the job month. Aber, weißt du, ich muss nicht consider weil the job oder nicht consider sheet. Aber wir können, wer ich the sheet, weil the job month muss sein, the sheet ist ganz starker Lishma. Ganz starker Lishma. So wenn ich sie schied, weil der Job month, aber so sein ich sie schied, und so keine Mechaniker sein Kinder. So in my mind is was Montsach bei uns als wir sollen werden, wir sollen sein, so wir sollen werden. Wir sollen andere von uns, nicht alle, andere. So hast du schon. Wir sollen sein Eden B'nei Teira. Das ist ein Engel in sein Kopf. Wenn tracht, was tut mein Melamed jetzt? Was tut mein Melamed jetzt? Was tut mein Maggid Shir jetzt? What's he doing? What's he doing right now? By him, if it's not a Dover Apostle, as I learned, I once spoke to a boy. I'm telling you, like, you think this is not giving Yeshivas Kayets in parts. A Boch hat mir gesagt, ich rede mit dem Lernen, he says, hat keinmal nicht gesehen, someone past the age of 20 that was learning Gemara that wasn't for a job. He tells me. This is what he tells me. All right, see, it's radical. It's a radical thing. I'm Melamed as a will. Let's say it's like you don't have such a good technique. You do have a better technique. no one's arguing. Technique is very important, and to know certain rules is important, and to understand certain things is very important. Aber wir reden da wegen einer Sache, als wir soll sein Iden, was haben wir Scheiches zu teilen. Wir soll sein Teilen. Teilen. Und haben wir es nicht geteilt, darf man werden nicht teilen. Wir sagen nicht, also nicht geteilt, wer ist mal damit. Wer hat teilt? Also wie hat gesagt, wer hat sich nicht, wer hat teilt? Was ist wer hat teilt? Fangen wir lernen. Fangen wir sich rein, lassen lernen. People are busy, people have jobs, people have, everyone has like jobs. This is like, the Malamdas is like sometimes like a very zeitige Zach. Again, everything I'm saying, you heard me, you didn't hear, I don't know. I'm telling you what's coming into my mind right now. What's coming into my mind right now. The MS, when I was walking over and trying to figure out how to get this computer connected to Wi-Fi, which I'm in New York now, so I like whatever, and this computer to get it connected to Wi-Fi. So I was really thinking of speaking about the same Reb Chaim, but as a gather of thinking about the Talmidim, that a Bacher, the Talmidim should feel that you think about them, that you think about them, that they mean something to you. There's nothing more important than a Talmud feeling that you mean something, that he means something to you. There's nothing more important. So I'm talking, and Be'emes, they're two separate sugyas. The Be'emes two separate sugyas. There's one sugya of the person, and the other sugya is the relationship between you and the Talmidim. And that's also a gather al dera we spoke. We can read in the Zolba Drosha, when you get Teira, when you get Reb Chaim, that the Metzias of Malamud is you know how to speak to him? Do you know what to say to him? The technique, aher, ahim. But the erkezach is that a kid should feel, a Talmud should feel, as a fanem by diranort, that you're important to him. Listen, I don't know. I was told to speak like 20 minutes, 25 minutes. I don't want to overstep my invite. I'm going to share with you a story that I saw in a sefer. We'll call it a sefer. It's a Hebrew. It's written in Hebrew. It's a sefer on chinuch. It could be you saw it also. If you didn't see it, that's a good story. It's a story. The story is azoy. It's a story between a father and a son. But in a certain way, you could you could be mamshel doing it. It's a story azoy.
Rabbi Walberg, no
yeah.
No rush. Take your time. It's a good. Very much takano. Yeah.
Good to say that. So I'm going to say like this. There's a story azoy. There's this person that's and I think a lot of people think he's also aggressive. Nicht Chabad. The Tzilter Azeh, he says his father was a Holocaust survivor. He came from Europe, came to Eretz Yisrael. It's a blochem. And they had one child. The blochem Eden. They had one child. The Eibusher was Zach. And this person used to work very hard. He used to leave in the morning, very early in the morning, and they come back late at night. Whatever, at night, he was tired. He would come home at night, and the son was home. He was a young boy. The father would come in, and in front of the door was a stockapushka. There was a stockapushka in front of the door. The father would come into the house and stick his hand to his pocket and take out 3 coins. 3 coins. And the first coin, he took out, he looked at it, and he said, "Thank you, Hashem, that you gave me a child." He had one child. He's a Holocaust survivor. So every night he said, "Thank you, Hashem, that you gave me a child." Then he took the second coin. I get emotional every time I say the story. I said the story, Mr. Machnesh, but I'm just telling you. Then he takes the second coin, and he took the second coin, and he looks at it, and it says, "Thank you, Hashem, that he davens and that he learns." Then he took the third coin, And he would say, please, Hashem, see to it that he should continue davening and continue learning. Now, this person that's this son, which is now the big mechanech, and he's the writer of this book, writes that this son of his, which was him, was a person that was socially completely. He came from a shvera home. His parents, like completely, he was a ben yochid. His parents were like They didn't have the regular normal. He didn't have the normal upbringing, and that was socially and academically. He was also very, very challenged academically in school. He wasn't doing well. Says the only thing that kept him going was this story, was this part of his life. Every night he would see it, and that gave him chizuk. That gave him chizuk. Then he says, this part of the story is not again. The next part of the story is not again. But Nekudas Advarim is, obviously it's a father and a son. But al derech zeh, there's a relationship between a malamed and a kid and Talmud. A lot of children don't have it from their parents, whatever reason. A lot of them do, Baruch Hashem. But a child should feel that the malamed thinks about him, appreciates to see him, he's happy with his happiness, and to sirtzachanem. That's also that's the tzura of a malamed. We'll speak about this. The person himself that's a malamed, he has to be a ben Torah. No, it has to be a ben Torah. I mean, you could be a mutzlach dika person. You can maybe win awards and be considered and give classes and teach how to chinuch and not be a ben Torah. But as we say, what you are speaks so loud that whatever you say can't really have a real effect. You have to be a ben Torah. What type of ben Torah? What type of ben Torah? Ben Torah. You get assigned ben Torah. That's learn. This is learning the Gemara and learning a thesis, learning a marsha shouldn't be like a chore. It should be part of your life. You have to get yourself a chavrusa and learn the Gemara. You're learning a mafkid. You're learning a el matzias. You're learning this. You get a chavrusa and learn. Probably the biggest thing that can happen is that the yeshiva should line that all the malamdim, besides their teaching, should have 2 hours a day, a seder in the zal, where they learn with each other. They have a chavrusa, and they learn 2 hours a day together. The Gemara that they're teaching, and they'll go through it, and they go through it again, and then they come to class. It's a lebedik azak. They're lebedik. They're learning. They're involved in learning. They will not kasha. I go frekta kasha. They hear agute kasha. They come back. They heard a teres. There's an involvement. They let them learn. A person is let them learn. Herta kasha. Financed by him. Ayid was geherta teres. I remember I had a malamed. I'm a malamed in 4th grade. In those years, things were different. Those years, I remember in summer episodes, I learned Vayishlach. I remember we learned Vayishlach. I went to I went from one yeshiva to another yeshiva. Bekitzer, I come to 3rd grade. I was born in 3rd grade. I come home. My father is learns Vayishlach. She learned Vayishlach. My father went to I think he went to the cheder. It was a big thing for me. He took off work, and they put me in 4th grade. 3rd grade, 4th. What's the chiluk? And 4th grade, we learned mishpatim. We learned mishpatim from mishpatim till the end of Vayikra. The guy by the name of Rafal Green. Later on, I learned by him Ksubis in 12th grade. But I'll call upon him. He was a Yida Ben Torah. He was Taka Yida Ben Torah. And I remember I would ask him questions, and he would come back a few days later with a teretz and a hair. I'm saying there was a lebedigkeit. It was a lebedigkeit. It was a Yid was learning, traffic learning. So if we're not such Yidden, we have to become such Yidden. If the job montam is overnas in Yidden, is overnas in Yidden. Darf overnas in Yidden. I'm not the person to tell you, Musser, if darf lernen zu sich. Ich sage nur, also, that's, in my mind, wir darfen sein b'nei Torah. Wir darfen sein Yidden von lernen. Learning shouldn't, we have a job, and we have to work on the job, and we have to figure out how to do the job, and there's a lot of work, and Kinder, all kinds of eschayvus, and nobody's minimizing the extent of the eschayvus. Aber on the other hand, wir darf verstehen, als eben will sein am Alamed, wie sie darf zu sein, und nicht genug, als sie nicht genug zu trachten, Pirish am Mildes beschassen darf. Wir darf wissen, aber zum Eberschen. Und all der ist es nicht genug zu haben, you have to be a Yid, a Ben Teira. You have to be a Yid, a Ben Teira. That's what mir duchtzach. This is what I think. Wir darf wegen dem reden. Wir darf wegen dem reden, wir darf wegen dem Ton, wir darf tun mit dem. Aber anyways, I'll call upon him. Ich will sagen, seid gesund, alles gut. Thank you very much for mir Uysaren. Und ich hoffe, as I didn't say anything, I didn't say anything offensive to anybody, because I'm not saying offensive, I'm just to see. Okay. Say that. Just say that. I want to add one more point. I don't understand. Another point, I'm sure you heard a lot. A person should realize, Chaim Shalom Deitch once said, I heard from him I heard from him more than two things, but I don't know if these two things were bekesher, because he said Chaim Shalom based on when he first gave out his first ha'aris in Kel Tzemach Tzedek, Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch. So he wanted to give it to the Rebbe himself. He didn't want to send it. He wants to give it to the Rebbe himself. I think it's Alter Rebbe. And today, foreign from America, but it was like maybe the early Lameds and stomach can get in this given. This is not as a portion. But sie waren starke Anstrengungen, schon gekommen. And I think like label he went to Yechidus and he gave it to the Rebbe. And by the Rebbe, it was very, very tired. It was very tired. It was like the first pay of whatever. It was very choshev. Right? It was choshev by him. It was very choshev. It was Sechon sehr stark beim Rebbe. I think it was in that Yechidus. Maybe it was in a different time, but I think it was in that Yechidus that the Rebbe told Chaim Shalom, as a Eid kommt Rob 70, 80 Jahre, gedei zu geben, a zweiten Eid a Chayes und Limudatein. Du hast a Musik. As a Eid kommt Rob 70, 80 Jahre, zu geben a Eid a Chayes und Limudatein. That a Eid, I think we have to also, we don't have enough people that are encouraging us to understand the choshivkeit of a Yid that tut mit Kinder and brings in them a certain chayes limud atera, or a chayes in Yer Shamayim, or bechlal avarimkeit. In other words, you go for a person to appreciate it. I'll tell you. I remember I was an old tailor, and I was once speaking to a bacher, and the bacher, I'll tell the bacher that I was talking. The bacher tells me the worst case scenario, the worst thing will happen, he'll be like me. He says, if I'll be also a leyitzlach like you, he tells me, so I won't go on shlichus, and I'll get a job at Old Taylor. That's what he tells me. This is what this bacher tells me. But I'm just saying. But a person shouldn't. He said it to me. All right, so he said it to me. But lepel mamish, a person has to understand that having a minui, of being a person that has an influence on Bachrim and Kinder, on any level of life, that you have an interest in, you could bring him in a Geschmack in the you could bring him a Geschmack in a Yiddishkeit, you could bring him a Geschmack in the Mreben, Yechsidus. But it can't happen with a drasha. It happens through life. Life gives a Geschmack. If you live, you're living with Torah. You're living with Torah. You're living with Yiddishkeit. You're living with Torah. He sees a Hider Mitzvah by you. He sees a gewisse Zach that not gemachter. That's your life. So that changes his life. That changes his life. Bekitzer, wir dürfen alle sich nehmen und werden besser und sich stärken. I hope I didn't say anything critical. I don't mean I'm just saying, im Moment zu sagen, von gut auf sein noch besser. Das sei noch besser. Das sei noch besser. Das sei eine Sache. Der Eibscherhof ist und Matzliach sein in allen Unionen und wir kennen doch mit schon um Dienst nach Sivach Simateva. And a good given year, and thank you, Rabbi Blooming, for the opportunity zu sagen, ein paar Werte da. Und ich hoffe, es sei alles. Seid gesund. Alles gut.
Amen.
Yashikoyach, Yashikoyach.
Yashakoyach, Rav Walberg.
Fine. Danke.
Und der Eibischte soll Eichmenschen mit Tarich